Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Unique New York.
That's apparently what we're supposed to say instead of
Naming the number.
naming the podcast. And we got Muzzy in the studio this week.
Hello. Hey, everyone.
You said last week I was supposed to do this, so here's your applause, Muzz.
What even is that?
It's a soundboard.
It goes on for far too long, that sound effect.
Yeah, all the others are shorter, but this one is diabolically long.
Maybe
awesome.
cover it with your hand after a couple of seconds.
Like,
No, that's making it worse. That's prolonging the annoyingness.
prolonging the agony. Well, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thank you very much.
How you doing? How you
All
feeling?
good. All good. We're all full.
How you digging London town?
I love it. Yeah. It's a really fucking cool area you have. Like, I love that little coffee shop. That's
Don't
like-
mention the address, though, because it's a secret.
Right, yeah.
Super secret studio address.
I don't even remember the fucking... I just keep asking Rob, like, every time I order food or anything like that. It's like, what's the address, mate? And like,
Yeah, it's hidden away. It's kind of cool.
but it's cool. It's like Neverland.
Yeah.
People have to find it.
Believe it or not, we haven't actually prepared much for today.
That's all
believe
right.
it?
We can roll along. We've got a great guest, so we can just mosey on through it
Yes.
and see where it takes us.
Wicked, man.
So a little bit of background for you, for those idiots, those absolute idiots who don't know.
Well, primarily drum and bass artist to some degree, and like sort of started making music around 2007, 2008 sort of time.
How old are you now?
I'm 23.
So you're like kind of the shining
Spring chicken.
hope of drum and bass.
Very, very young. Came into drum and bass.
It's a lot of pressure, man. You're carrying the torch now.
Well, I came into drum and bass way late, like after you guys happened and after all of that stuff. Like,
But why is that? Why is that late? I mean, you come into it when you come into it. As in, you reckon in the length of drum and bass's history.
right?
Okay,
That's
yeah,
what I
get
mean.
you.
Like, I guess if you look at drum and bass's like lifespan, I guess I came in sort of at the tail end. When way
Contemporary.
after the genesis and of like sort of
Yeah.
like neurofunk and the darker stuff and like all of that kind of happened already. So like I was just contributing to that, I guess.
I guess you always do feel late to drum and bass. I mean, we did as
We
well.
did, yeah.
And we were there in 2003.
Right.
Which is
But
why
we missed jungle and all that sort of shit. So we
Yeah.
were like, oh, we missed the party.
Yeah, we feel like we missed the boat. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess, yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to go in with a more rocky kind of sound, like sort of, even back then, like, only you guys are really doing it, and like, I didn't
I
really
guess
know.
it's kind of lucky you came into it then when you did, because if you were putting guitars in it back in the jungle days, you'd probably get stabbed.
Yeah.
Well, like you guys
Before-
did.
Well, yeah. And we did get stabbed. Yeah. No, it's, I don't know. It's, how long have you been producing now?
So, yeah, since 2007, so about 10 years, 11 years, something like that. But obviously at first I wasn't really taking it seriously. Like, I guess I've been doing it full time for probably about 4 or 5 years.
What did you start off making? Was it drum and bass? Or?
Yeah, so like I was trying to make drum and bass, but like I couldn't really, because like when you're a new producer, you don't know fucking anything, and it's just like shit. Where do I start and stuff like that? And it's just I started sort of making dubstep because it was more accessible, and like
Yeah.
the sort of dubstep at the time, it was not like how it is now, like all the sort of wave tables and all that kind of stuff. Like it was all very just sub bass drums.
One synth.
Yeah, as long as
Yeah.
the thing is the thing about dubstep is like. I
So you mean
that-
like Circa, Flux, and Benga and Koki and stuff
kind of
like
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Right.
exactly, like Fale and Benga and yeah, all that stuff, Scream. But like dubstep was more like the sort of entry level for dubstep was a bit lower than drum and bass. Like as long as it had some bass weight and some like drums, then it's fine. Like so like but I still wanted to do drum and bass always.
Do you remember that?
Absolute.
What a
tune.
fucking tune. Do you
Do you remember the video? It was just like that octopus
Yeah,
going
just,
around.
it would have lights on it and it
Yeah.
would like move.
It was just squidding about. Yeah, it was amazing.
What a weird bass as well. Very ringtoney.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the kind of stuff I was trying to make, like Benga, sort of like Diary of an Afro Warrior, that album, like
That was so good.
Yeah.
yeah, really, I was just like, fucking, I've never heard anything like this in my life. And because I came from like sort of metal and rock and industrial and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I sort of found drum and bass pretty much with you guys, because you guys were really the only people like having that sort of vibe about drum and bass that made it sound like rocky and like I was like, okay, maybe I can get into electronic music. And I sort of found like Players Recordings and other sort of drum and bass labels. And then I sort of found dubstep after that.
Yeah.
And then because it was like sort of, it was fun, easy to make, simple, like I sort of tried to just get familiar with producing, doing that. And then...
And did you have any success from the dubstep side of things? Did you get some tunes out? Or
Nearly,
up on
yeah.
the-
I had one tune called X No Way Out, which was a Fort Park ride named after a Fort Park ride.
Amazing.
And it was because it was all glitchy and noisy and stuff. And this was around 2009, I think. And that came out on UKF Dubstep.
Oh, cool.
And then I had like all kinds of like big dubstep artists sort of hit me up at the time. But I kind of made that as a joke. Like I never wanted to be a dubstep artist. I only did it just because it's like, what the fuck? Why not? But a lot of big dubstep artists were like sort of, oh, this is fucking wicked. Like, do you want to sign to my label and all that kind of stuff? And I was like, not really. This is kind of just a joke. Like, I don't really want to do any of this stuff. I don't want to make dubstep for the rest of my life. And to be honest, like in hindsight, if I did that,
Yeah, probably a good idea.
in
Yeah,
hindsight, if I actually continued making dubstep, I'm be in a completely different universe, I think,
It's very true.
because of how because this was
Different
sort
path,
of
yeah.
right because this was just before dubstep became massive in America.
But around about that time was a good year and a half to 2 years before it really popped off anyway. So
Right.
I don't know. But then again, if you weren't in love with it, you probably weren't going to be able to make it.
Yeah, like
Do you know what I mean? Like you probably would have
well, that's the thing. I did it as a
got bored
joke.
of it after 1 year and then really kicked yourself.
I did it as a joke. I wanted to do drum and bass. Like really wanted to be taken seriously as a drum and bass artist.
Yeah.
And then Monster Cat came along around 2011 and they sort of picked me up. They were literally just sort of nothing at the time.
I mean,
And,
in an alternate universe, you could have been eating ass at Lost Lands.
Yeah, it could have been you,
eating
man.
ass at the rave.
Could have been all you.
Going to sleep on millions of dollars alongside famous dubstep dudes.
Right, exactly.
Dubstep dudes.
Well, I mean, I stand by what I did. So,
Yeah.
and to be honest, like it took me a while to get a hang of drum and bass because I think especially if you're doing like sort of that high energy, like high octane sound, it is like there is a learning curve to the production.
It's
And-
very drum and bass is. I was saying this to you yesterday. Drum and bass is very much like sort of a production school,
right.
and every technique that you learn is kind of useful
Exactly.
in other music.
genres.
And the saying is, if you know how to make drum and bass, you can make fucking anything.
Yeah,
Like,
especially because there's
Pretty
so
on point.
little space between the drum hits
Right.
that you sort of
Because
have
of
to
the
be.
speed
well, that's
of
the thing.
it,
You're
yeah.
forced to learn things about groove and rhythm and stuff because it's a fast tempo. You've got to be careful with that kind of stuff.
But even fitting things in to give the sound, to make the sound full, you need to be able to know how to fit things in like a jigsaw puzzle. Guitars, for example, or even vocals.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. Drum and bass sort of is like an all-round kind of good genre for that, I guess. Like just learning all kinds of techniques, like ranging from like, I guess, transient shaping to, you know, sound design and especially like mixing low mids and mid range, which people always find difficult in any genre. And like,
And snares.
right.
Snares.
especially snares. We'll go on to that a bit later.
Yeah.
Should we play a song to avoid awkwardness?
Let's play an unawkwardness song.
Fuck yeah.